Hi, Denisa.
Hey,
It's so good to see you. So happy to see you. Anytime I see you, I'm just so happy.
I love
Honestly.
spending time talking with you. Welcome, everyone. My name is Denisa, and here we are with Elina, and we are going to be talking about Bliss Designed. That's what the
Yeah,
topic is today.
yeah, that's just so a beautiful, such a beautiful brand. Every time I look at it, it's just like a Bliss Design magazine. It's so beautiful, elegant. On Instagram, it's just this so beautiful. So, can you tell us what's the essence of Bliss Design? What is this
Ah, the
all about?
The essence. Well, essentially, it's all about designing women's lives for bliss. Bliss is the zenith of the physical and metaphysical experience of a woman. And I found this out along the years of working as an integrative, regenerative,
Mhm.
naturopathic doctor in Hawaii, and came to the conclusion that ultimately we should be shooting not just for health, but for bliss for a woman. That's where she thrives the deepest, and that's essentially my goal, is to uphold bliss, ecstasis, and the erotic soul of the woman globally.
That is exactly what we all need. It's just, I think for every woman, it's just so important in every aspect of her life. I think for me is in a personal, in a business life, it's all about where you at, what is your bliss, right? Like how do you find that balance? What is bliss for you? So how do you define bliss?
Ah, I thought about that for many, many years, and it came through many different stages. But essentially, what I'm finding, it is a flavor of the flow state, and essentially
Hmm.
is the instinct that wakes up in us when we realize our metaphysical freedom. Much like fear is an instinct when we face something really fearful and dangerous, when you realize your
Hmm.
metaphysical freedom awaken, when you truly awaken, bliss is just such a natural instinctual reaction to life. And you see people coming back from experiences of rapture and enlightenment that come back kind of radiant and see life totally differently. And that's kind of what bliss is that state. And it has a specific neurophysiological signature. So I talk about that in my work very clearly, so that it is based in not just esoteric mystical language, but also really grounding it in flow state, physiology, and so on. Bliss is the yin of flow, whereas ecstasis is the yang of flow, and I talk about that in my in all the programs essentially, and the speaking engagements that I've done that have kind of brought flow, bliss, ecstasis, and the erotic soul
Hmm.
together in the dialogue.
I really like the part of erotic soul. So um I think with all women really kind of learn to discover this through their lifetime and through their journey, the erotic soul, and it has nothing to do with sex or anything like that. It my understanding of it, and you, I would love to hear your perception on that as well. For me, it's like um, that feminine part of me that really opens up and keeps that balance and finds that bliss for me in life between feminine and masculine energies that we're battling every single day. So the erotic soul is just like this beautiful feminine energy that fills up whenever I feel in flow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what would you how would you describe this for yourself?
Mm-hmm. Well, the erotic soul, content came a little later, after bliss, after ecstasis, after really getting clear on the flow state, the metaphysical freedom of the woman. And then came this point where I realized there is some kind of an ignitive force that moves us into creation as women in the world. And what is that ignitive force? Because essentially, when you are at peace, in bliss, you could just remain there and dissolve into the abyss and be fine. But something inside of us, almost from the womb, kind of opens up, and you want to create from that place. It's this like existential ignition, I call it. And that comes from Eros energy. Even Jung and Freud and Plato all talk about Eros being the most powerful creative force, and essentially being in love with beauty itself. And I began formulating content around this work for women. Is how do we wake up that ignitive force? And it turned into all this work around erotic soul, and how to activate that in our lives, and how to give it voice and energy, and work with it to create our work in the world. Everything. It's essentially your intelligence in love. When you fall in love, when you fall in love, like you suddenly reach,
right,
states of incredible amount of energy, and you get stuff done that you would just like feel on a normal day, right? So that's the fuel. It's that ignitive force. It's an existential kind of like a kick in the ass. Let's go, create. You must. And that's a little bit on that.
That is just absolutely wonderful, because we all go through that. Like, we are women entrepreneurs. We really need that creative source. Always keep that up. So what would be a couple tips that you could give us in a way? How do we ignite this? Just a couple sweet little tips. What is that? How can we switch to that?
Yeah. And this is what we're going to be really diving into this summer in the Bliss Design Summer Salon that I run once a year for women, encoding bliss, ecstasis, and the erotic soul into your body, into your life, and into your business, your projects in the world. When a woman creates from her erotic soul, her stuff is magnetic. It has a flavor that is
absolutely
radiant, right?
Absolutely.
And it's not necessarily, sexual in nature. Of course, sex is a part of Eros, and it can absolutely be highly sensual and sexual and so on, but it doesn't have to be. It just has to be encoded with the radiance of Eros, with the radiance of in-loveness. And it just has such a healing flavor once you encode the Eros into your work. It's just energetic, just vibrates differently in the world, yeah? So the first step towards Eros, and the first step towards bliss, or any kind of metaphysical freedom or erotic openness, is you loving you. Period. Like really dropping into a reverence, into seeing who you are, appreciating, forgiving. You loving you is step one. So we really drop into activating that in the woman. And of course, a lot of women are already on this journey, but really loving you, it's a different level. And once you've got that in place, then what I talk about is there awakens this incredible love affair inside of you between the yin and the yang, and you become your most devoted, most powerful lover in life. And from that place begins mode of creation. That's totally different level.
Mm-hmm.
So we talk about activating the yin, the masculine, the healthy masculine frequencies and the healthy feminine frequencies, and how they kind of all come together in the creative force.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, a part of this journey is really getting a good look at our wounding, getting a good look at our shadows, getting a good look at which point bliss, awakenedness, ecstasis, Eros gets shut down, attenuated through usually our wounds. We get triggered on a daily basis. X, Y, and Z comes at us. And if you spend an entire
Mm-hmm.
weekend in bliss or in awakening practices, and then suddenly your boss shouts at you and all your childhood memories come back and you feel this
Mm-hmm.
little, So really creating strategies to neutralize wounds as they come up swiftly. And that's the ticket of building bliss, building a flow state, building the Eros, building the coherence that we all need to reach as human beings, so that we can start healing the planet really on a global basis. Coherence is critical. We've got to start hearing each other,
Mm-hmm.
and we can't do it from the wounded states, only from the higher healthy, healed states. And those approach bliss, those approach ecstasis, those are fueled with healthy Eros of creation.
That is absolutely true, and that reminds me a quote by Rumi is whatever you are, whatever you do, just be in love. Yes. It's one of my favorite quotes, and I think you're absolutely right. That's just one of the most important things, is to be in love with yourself first, because that's what your flow is.
In love with life itself, in love with beauty itself, in love with the reverence of being alive and how rare that is. And so, that's what humanity is learning. There's so much unworth, there's so much guilt and shame and pain in the world. We know that state very well. We don't need to practice that no more. That is encoded in generations and generations, and we come out being born with this encoded in our DNA. So our work in the world right now is to look at this, neutralize these, and heal, and really become dedicated to higher states of consciousness and coherence, so that we can heal the planet, we can be of impact, we can love our children, love our lovers, love our communities, and just be awesome to be around those kind of people. I mean, at the end of the day, if you can be without judgment, if you can just be with people in your life, that alone is enough. So
yes, unconditionally. That conditional thinking, I think, is what really brings us that ego in us, that really takes away that flow, that erotic soul, especially in women. Oh, he should have done this, or he should have done, or she should have, just like you said, that judgment, that conditional thinking, not recognizing soul to soul, but recognizing ego to ego.
And that's a part of how humanity has evolved, but it's time to change that up, and I think we're ready. Kind of like consumers are changing, everyone's becoming smarter. You can't really fool anyone anymore like you used to. I think human beings are also energetically a lot more astute. They can read when people energy is authentic, when we are free of judgment, when we are really listening to the message that you're putting across. I think this is all changing, and coherence, intersubjective, connection is the future. We must drop into that. And I believe, especially for the woman, bliss, and Eros are a key ingredients in this movement forward. Yeah. As a physician, is also like, that's critical. That's epigenetics plus. That is where a woman's body will become ageless. And that's one of the other things that I really drop into is the agelessness, the age reversal, the turning back the biological clock, so your body can be energetic and you can feel amazing in your skin, and you can have lots of energy and clarity to love and create and move in the world. That's a part of the Bliss design movement for women, is the ageless body, the physicality being regenerative, and our metaphysicality being free, and the erotic spectrum being in phase of openness, and for us to be on purpose, aligned, lit up, radiant. Like, if you're going to live to 90, 100, 120 plus, if, science is showing that this is feasible, and it's just time, it's going to be happening in our lifetime. How are you going to do it? What kind of a human are you going to live?
Right. How are you going to live with yourself for so long, right?
Yeah, that's a really big question. That's a huge one. Absolutely. And if you're egoic, if you have a lot of judgment, if you have a lot of control issues, toxic masculinity inside of you, even as a woman, we talk about the toxic masculine and toxic feminine, meaning like the wounded. Yeah, the wounds, like the control and the shame and so on. If you're going to live that, then it's just not going to work out beyond 90. Sorry. You must shift that, period. And it's great.
You must evolve.
And we can. We are. And that's the beauty of it.
That is a very interesting subject. And I know you, I've seen that you have been traveling for the past few months all over Europe, just doing conferences and speaking, and all this on age reversal and metaphysics of all this. And so can you tell us a little bit of that journey that you've experienced in a few months? That we're just dying to know. Where have you been so far?
Thank you. Yes, the age reversal salons, it's like 1:20 a.m. here in Luxembourg, in my nightgown. But it's exciting to be around the world and creating these talks. Age reversal salons came out of the idea of really bringing this conversation in an elegant way to women, because a lot of the dialogue around biological age reversal is very clinical. It's very medical. It's just like, okay, I just have a different flavor around it. So I take the science, I make it really sexy and palatable and elegant and sophisticated for the woman.
I know. I watch that all the time. I was like, oh my God, how she does this.
But we have to, because, I want my girls to really feel amazing. The age reversal being really beautiful and palatable, and you want to do it, and it's sexy, and why not, right? So that's just my flavor. It's just how I do it. I mean, everybody has a different way. So my place is to take that science and bring it to women's lives in a very elegant, sophisticated, sweet, Bliss designed way. Yeah, but still very professional and very clear and science-based. I mean, a lot of it is about protocols to reverse biological age, which are getting clearer and clearer and clearer and clearer. So that has been a part of the Bliss design movement this year. It started in Hawaii, then I took it to Japan, then to Luxembourg and Stockholm, and where else were we been? San Francisco. Yeah, so we've been around, and now I'm
London, I think, right?
Rome or so. London is next. London is the Transvision conference, and that's essentially taking Bliss design content and placing it in transhumanist dialogue, the future Femme. Why am I talking this way? Why is this even important for futurism? And how does it place among, high caliber philosophy and around transhumanism, where we're going as humanity with technology and so on. So it'll be interesting to bring that into the dialogue and make it align with futurism, which it all makes sense to me, just all coming together. But what I'm really excited about is my summer salon, and it's a summer program I run. It's 6 weeks, and we dive into kind of really activating bliss and Eros in a woman's life. And that's always like one of my favorite things to do is the summer salon. Last year was a hit. It was quite amazing. You were a part of it. What was it like?
Oh
for
my
you?
God! Yes, yes, yes. I was just going to talk about it because I think for me it was like an amazing experience in a way of I've been in a self-development for over 30 years. I've been working on myself really deep way for over 30 years, and I have never experienced anything like that. I think I've kind of collected pieces and pieces and pieces everywhere, but for me, it was really to activate that. And I've always been told I'm very feminine and like, um, you know, so never had an issue with erotic kind of expression or anything like that. And I thought, I do have erotic soul and I don't need this or whatever. Oh my God, I had no idea actually, that what you taught in that salon, what really opened up like very deep levels of understanding is really how to activate that feminine. And I think also my issue was that over the years being in a high level corporate job, for me, well, for a long time, that masculine energy really took over. And once you're in a position of making decisions, managing lots of millions of dollars, you become really attuned to that masculine energy, and sometimes you forget how to let it go. And when you go back to that feminine, you kind of lost how to find yourself there. And so that salon, that time in salon, really helped me to find that erotic soul of mine that I thought I had, but obviously it was, I don't know, man was start flowing. I was just, blossoming, and all these, men was coming to me with from nowhere. So it was
Yeah, because you became
beautiful.
magnetic, radiant in all areas of
Yes,
your life. Yeah. And
yes.
that's what Eros does. Yeah.
So there were so many things that you explained about masculine and feminine, and how to really recognize and how to balance it. And for me, this was just absolutely priceless. It was I was so grateful for that experience.
Yeah, no, it came as revelations and downloads. I really followed intuition in how I created it. It was all very original content, downloaded every Monday throughout the summer, and it was
Mm-hmm.
just it was healing me as well. I mean, I became a lot more. I mean, I've always been very open. I've been called almost too open. But this was like a permission, like a cosmic level of permission. This is the true woman. This is a full spectrum woman. Yeah. So not only do we
Mm-hmm.
encode Eros into our bedrooms, we encode it into the way we speak in the world, into the way we create content or create our projects or the way we do our work or professions, there is an aliveness, there is an in-loveness. It's it's an excitability you can sense from people. It's radiant. So it was a beautiful experience, and we're going to do it again this summer and go deeper and go do a lot more experiential stuff. So we do cover the sensuality as well, but really not only, because we really encode it into the work, the impact that we're creating as women in the world.
Oh my God. So the last question is, when does this start? We all want to know.
Great. Well, I just pushed the date to July 15th start, because we started a little late talking about it. And I will be in Japan from the 12th. So I will be in one place to create this all summer long with the women in the world from Kyoto this year. And of course, it'll be really infused with a lot of the Zen qualities, the quiet sensuality of Japan, the ingrained
geisha experience
from the geisha districts and so on. Yes, the naughtiness that nobody really talks about, but
Can't wait. I cannot wait. It was so much fun last year. It was just like, there were modules when I was like, huh? And I'm not somebody who is very easy to amuse. So it was a beautiful experience. Absolutely.
Oh, I'm
amazing.
so glad. Giving each other permission to speak about the entire spectrum of the woman, from the sweet, innocent frequencies in us to the really wild and kind of naughty frequencies, and all of them are a go, because we're benevolent beings. We can't hurt a soul, so let's just kind of create from the whole spectrum. And that's the point of this, and it comes from my deep care for the freedom and the wellness of the woman in the world, and for the woman to be fully emancipated and enlightened and freed, so that she can create amazing work in the world and essentially, hopefully, save the planet.
We will. Somehow we will.
We're on it. We're on it.
We're on it.
So please, if any of you are interested to know more about the salon, go to blissdesign.com /summer salon, or join us in the Bliss Design magazine. I'm going to have special pricing in the group, the magazine group, special pricing for my magazine girls. So
and follow Bliss Design on Instagram.
Yeah, absolutely. We're working on that together, and just so much more beautiful stuff coming along around the concept of the ageless body and all that. So keep close, because we're just getting started.
So lovely to have you. Just so lovely to have you. And thank you for all these insights, tips, and there are more to come.
Thank you for all your beautiful questions. I'm always thrilled to talk about this. So anytime. Okay.
Oh, yes, we will then.
Okay. Have a beautiful evening.
Ciao, Bella.
Ciao.